Hi, Leo. It's Lynn from Tinker Tarot and Cartomancy, and I'm here to do your May 225 reading. Um, this is a very focused reading. So, first of all, May is a 5, and 5 is about change. So, anything that's been going on in your life is about to change. And it could be something unexpected. You didn't see it coming, like it's something that's been moving along how it's always moved along, and then suddenly there is a change. And I feel like that because the Tower is here. It's the card that jumped out for you. And the Tower means something's crumbling, something's falling apart, but it needs to because there's something wrong. The foundation isn't strong right now, and this could be a bit of a shock. It could be surprising that this is happening. You expected change maybe in other parts in your life, and you may get it as well. But there's a change in probably a relationship or a situation, and things can't hold the way they've been going. There's an issue, a problem, and so now it's time to open that up and have a look at it, whether you want to or not. So, in the recent past here, it looks like there was some sort of confusion or maybe miscommunication. There's what you say or what you hear is maybe not correct, or maybe someone else isn't speaking or hearing things correctly, and it's causing this relationship to drift apart because of the miscommunication. Okay, but there is there is a road to go ahead in. There's a path, that there's an option basically to begin new communication. This is new communication, a new way of talking, or a new way of receiving information, or what your communication that you're having. If I feel like this is to do on the feeling level, someone's either being immature or is going through something new, maybe you've never gone through before, or they've never gone through before. And this could also it could have to do with a fire sign. It could have to do with one of your kids, possibly. A fire sign, a Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. And it also could be to do with a guide in your life, or you could be the guide. The Hierophant is like the guide, it's like the person that advises you, the wounded healer. So it may be yourself or someone else that is wounded, but is always helping people. But it seems like there's something to do in a relationship here that's drifting apart because of miscommunication. So someone might decide to take a break here, okay? Which, happens in this Tower. They might decide to take the break. They need some distance from this. It's, wanting to go down a new path, something different, want positive vibrations in your life or their life. And so this is big time on the feeling level. There's like a lot of cups here. In the present, I can see that, and I think this is all to do with the same situation, this relationship. Okay, there could be some other areas in your life too, but it feels like someone's holding back. Okay, they could be holding back how they really feel. They could be holding back support, energy, finances. Um, you know, there could be some sort of healing going on, but it's the tough part right now. Maybe revisiting old anxiety and feelings and negative self talk, things like that. Um, but I feel like there's someone's withholding, and that's part of the issue. Okay, the miscommunication. It may be part communication, saying some of how you feel, but not really relaying everything. Anyway, there's a lot of anxiety and fear around this. Okay, so again, or not again, the Five of Swords here is in the middle. So someone feels like they're not being heard, they're not being respected, they're being bullied, they're not being treated right. All right. And they're feeling, again, I'm feeling like they need to withdraw. They need to get some space, take a break, think things over. And it's probably a good thing right now to take this little pause, this little break, because we need to explore our own feelings at this time and consider how the other person, because it's two sides, right? Consider how the other persons or people feel in this matter too. But I got to tell you, I think this needed to happen in a big way because I think that the path forward, there's something to celebrate here. I think there's this is going to work out for the better. You needed to get through this dirty water, because there's been dirty water around, all right? And no one's really saying what they really feel. No one's getting it off their chest, or somebody is and then the other person isn't, something like that. But I feel the way forward is really positive, something to celebrate, collaboration, love, you know. Um and it may be at a time where you're having to juggle your finances, like this withholding back here. You may have to be putting money away or scrimping and saving and having to juggle things. But I think that there's something good coming for you out of all this. You needed to go through it. I also feel like there could be a return for some of you of the father. So, or the boss, or the landlord, or something like that. Okay. I feel like it could be a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. This is, also the return of emotional maturity, learning an emotional lesson through all this, and learning something about ourselves. you know when we go through emotional maturity, we gain knowledge, we evolve, we grow a little bit. And I don't want to say tougher, I want to say more flowing, you know, like there's not as much resistance, it's just a flow. I think you're way uh, better to able to handle things emotionally. Maybe that's been the difficulty in the past here. But again, I feel like, and maybe this person has, this emperor, this lord, this father, this person in maybe power, leadership, responsibility. Um, but I feel like there's possibly a return here, okay, in some way, or maturity, or going through a life lesson, a big one, okay? This may have taken a while to sink in. There's always something, a lesson to learn, just about from all the cards, but the major arcana are the big ones, okay? So, coming out of this cave, coming out of this slump, whatever it is, because to go in the cave, we've gone in to learn a lesson about ourselves, something that we've been going through for quite some time, okay? And we finally mature, we finally grow, we come to grips with it, where there's some sort of self-acceptance as well, that we accept about ourselves, okay? And we also appreciate about ourselves, like we don't put ourselves down for it. We just appreciate it and acknowledge it at this time. It's maturity. And so, again, I feel like there's something new developing out of all this. I feel like there is a person that is becoming single coming into your life. It could be a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Again, you got two King of Cups here. And I also feel like they couldn't come in until you were ready for them, until you went through this um, growth spurt in your life, this realization, this aha, okay? Um, so now you appreciate yourself. You have more confidence in yourself. You realize everything you've been able to do. I highly suggest that if you can, if you need to have a look at what you have accomplished, what you've done, because you're thinking, I'm nothing, I haven't done anything, what am I? It's really wise thing to do a lifeline. So at one end of the page, you put birth, and you put a line across the page, and you put the age you are now at the other end. And you make little ticks at every 10 years, so. And then you try and fill in, what did I do in those first 10 years? Where was I living? Did I go to school? What was going on in my family? Did I win any awards? And then the next 10 years, where was I? What was I doing? What had I achieved? What hardships did I go through? And so you start to have a look at it. And with mine, I color coded some things that seem to be repeat patterns in my life. So if I went traveling a lot, I highlighted that in yellow. If I moved a lot, just, had to move all the time, I highlighted that in red. And so I started to see patterns and things that I had actually accomplished and what I'd been through. And I thought, wow, I've really been through a lot. No wonder I felt this, or am sensitive to that. And I was able to accept some things about myself. And I was able to pat myself on the back and say, wow, you have really done a lot of things. You should be proud of yourself. You owned a house, you traveled, raised a good kid, or kids. You've had long relationships, something like, I don't know, I had a great job, or I owned a business, or whatever you did. I mastered an art. I play guitar. Because all of those things are mastery, right? And so, anyway, I feel like you are looking at yourself with a lot more pride now, feeling stronger, feeling independent. And I feel like there's also a possible opportunity. You may get news, you may get a phone call, email, something where you get news of a new possibility, a chance for growth, a chance, And again, I feel like you're emotionally mature now. You're stronger emotionally. Um, I with the king, something about the king is that the king is very loving, a real sweetheart, help you with anything. But also the king reserves some of himself to himself. He doesn't give everything away, because sometimes when you give everything away, you leave yourself vulnerable. What's left for you when you're giving all the good stuff to other people. So you need to keep some good stuff, some kindness, some kind words, some taking care of yourself, self-care. And that comes in a lot of different forms. But the king does that, reserves some for himself, okay? But is also able to give, and doesn't let the waves splash back on him, too. Doesn't let that wave splash back on him. What I mean is get hurt too easily, Doesn't take it all too seriously, right? So has really learned some lessons about relationships and um, different things. What jumped out for you up here with the Norman Greer is the Five of Swords and the Two of Wands. And the Five of Swords, again, this is about a relationship. They both are. Maybe a partnership, could be a business relationship. And somebody feels disrespected or talked down to, or intentional or not. Sometimes it is the other person being mean. Sometimes it's how we're hearing it. Okay, they don't mean to be mean, they're just doing their job, or they're just, they're a stoic kind of person, straightforward, don't have a lot of emotion. I don't know. But anyway, there is potential, like, for new development, new growth in the relationship. Again, I think this kind of needed to happen. You might get some distance. Someone in the relationship wants some distance, wants a break, doesn't, eh, um, is not willing to be pushed around, is not willing to be disrespected. There needs to be change. It's a five. There needs to be change in the relationship. Okay. So then in the cartomancy, again, the father figure is coming in. The King of Diamonds I see as a mature man. Could be a woman too. But I think this is a man because there's real male energy here, a lot of male energy. I think there could be a return. I think there could be a gift, something sentimental going on, some sort of growth emotionally, change emotionally. Um, this person is also a guide. If you think of an older person, they've been around, they've learned lessons, and sometimes we go and talk to them to get guidance on, what should I do about this? What do you think about this? Am I wrong here? Get some feedback kind of thing. And I think that it either has to do with this person. This person could be returning. I feel like there's some sort of growth emotionally with this person. And I think it's a mature, older person, could be a mother, father, boss again, landlord, something like that. Okay. You also got the 10 of diamonds, queen of clubs, and the 4 of diamonds. There could be something to do about money, finances, there's financial stuff in here too. So there could be arguments about finances, or someone feels the other's in control of all the money. um, this woman could be a brown or hazel-eyed woman, could be a friend, someone you consider a friend, could be yourself too, Leo. This person has possibly a lot. They are secure. They're stable. There's definitely security there, in a very secure position. And with the 4 of diamonds, there's some sort of decision that needs to be made regarding finances, regarding security. Um, it doesn't make decisions lightly, this person. They have to think about it. They have to think about what they need, or, how they can spend it, or making a budget, or something like that. There's some to be it's on the way to change, because the 4 is just before the 5, but the 4 is where we need to give thought about our next action, our next step in this direction. Making plans too, making plans. All right. Now, in the Lenormand, first you begin with the Tower. And again, I feel it's back to this relationship. I feel this relationship is a strong relationship, okay? It could be something to do with family, because I think it's been a long relationship. It's been around for a long time, and it can withhold a lot of storms. It can go through a lot of stuff, and still be standing, right? But so I feel like there is, again, some sort of breakdown in communication. I feel like something needs to change, something needs to end, be cut away, whether it's something that happened in the past, some sort of resentment or, um, behavior. I'm not sure what, but it needs to be cut away. And it has something to do with communication, how you're hearing things, how they're hearing things. But this person is loyal in your life. And I think, like I said, this is an old, strong relationship, and they are a true friend. They will stick by you. They're not going anywhere, but it this is a time when there's a big change. But I think you're going to find out that this person like can withstand this relationship with can stand a lot of things. I think you're loyal too, Leo. So there's loyalty in this relationship, but there's something needs to change. Okay, with communication. Communication is a big thing here. All right. There's a few kings and a few pages. There's like 3 pages here. So I feel like there's an age difference. There's an age gap. So this could be parent, child, not necessarily child. You could be an adult and you're dealing with the parents, or an older person with authority, more experience. Maybe they're talking to you like you don't know anything, or but you could be doing this behavior. Also, this, I can't remember what just happened on Sunday, astrologically, something. Oh, I hate when I can't remember. But it showed a lot of, it created a lot of reactive energy. So reacting a certain way to something you're seeing, hearing, um, and this is where the moon comes in, right? The moon is reactive. We're not sure, we're not sure of ourselves big time. And also not sure if we're, you know, if we can trust something. We can trust something. So I'm telling you, you can. You can trust this person. You can, but there's something that needs to change in the relationship, maybe on both sides. Maybe both people need to change. Um, but I feel like there's no going back. It's only moving forward in a new way. All right. Wow, this is a strong message for you this month, Leo. You'll have to let me know if it resonates for you or not. The thing I do want to say, that at the end of all these lines, they begin with trouble. They begin with change. They begin with growth, okay? But they all end positively. This needed to happen, okay? Because it's going to be better than it was before. You didn't like what it was. Like I said, dirty waters, you know? So this is a good thing. Anyway, let me know. Have a great month. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there coming in May. And take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.